Shalom. First and foremost, honor of all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakahakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstones, who rule well and taught me this truth. Peace, blessings, salutations, and mercies to the elect and the 1/3 remnant out there living, listening, and doing this word with all praise and sincerity scattered amongst the nations and the four corners of the earth. To you, I say shalom, Lord willing. This video is edifying. It's going to be sitting around the topic of the spirit of self-idolization, right? Because in my personal opinion, I feel like that is one of the demons that's revealing itself in these latter days, especially with these different men that have been made to be these significant figures in Israel, right? And I think the attention and the fame that's coming to the truth being garnished by these men is only a token of their inward desires and, them wanting to be looked at as an idol. They want that fame. Okay, they desire to be accepted and reverenced in this world as someone great. Okay, and the reason I say this is because when you come out with certain doctrines or make certain statements, they get attention, right? For a period of time, you're the talk of the town. And, I think these guys, they love it. All right. They love it. But they suffer from that idolatry demon. Okay. Because, to be overly involved with yourself and your image, and to do things in which, you pretty much putting yourself before the Lord is idolatry. Okay. I'm not saying don't care about yourself or, don't care about your reputation, because you should, but there's a balance. All right. And, that's just what I see. And I'm going to get some scriptures to back it up. And, if you need an example, then just look at what's been going on. All right. All of these guys that have heard the truth, but decided to do otherwise or change things to promote other doctrines. When you look at them, they've all, you can see the pride on them, right? And they all want that, that fancy title and to be reverenced, right? This is 2 Timothy 3:2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. Now, the first thing mentioned was, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. Okay? And that's what's promoted heavy in Babylon. That's where you got, a feature on the phone called a selfie, right? You got these different platforms for social media to what? To boost yourself. Matter of fact, when you look at Genesis, that was what the serpent told Eve, and ye shall be as God, right? So you should be worshiped. And that's what a lot of people in this society desire, because that's what it promotes. All right. That's why you got something called the Grammys or the Oscars, or, these different documentaries that come out about your favorite actor. Right. And it's a bunch of people on there, that are also highly esteemed in this world. And they all talking about how great this person is. And, they put a still shot of whoever it is, and he looking all proud and shit. That's what Jake want out of this world, man. And it's guys with that mentality that are in the truth, So they do things to separate themselves, to be what they would call a pioneer, right? But really, you just deceived and wicked, okay? Because you think that this place is going to continue long enough, or you think that what you're doing is greater than an overall, thing, which is the return of Yahushua. Yahushua returning is going to overshadow all this, man. All the works that we doing now, we doing it to be seen of Yahushua. Fuck what this world think, right? But these guys, they get caught up in it. That's why they do all these interviews and that self lovers of your own selves, that comes with the light. That comes off the back, pride. Okay? And what does the scripture speak on? The scriptures speak on being proud, right? And what is that? It's the beginning of when man's heart fall from the Most High, right? Let me see. Here we go. This is Sirach 10 and 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his Maker. See, and that's what the beginning of pride is. Okay. Ultimately, a lack of faith. You guys don't truly believe that the Lord is making his return in your lifetime. You see the continuance of this place, to where, you want to, the things you're doing now are for the purpose of looking back on it and being idolized in some way, shape, or form, right? You want that name, okay? But you're going to get a name, but just not the name that you think you're going to get, all right? Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. And what's that pleasure? Being highly esteemed by man, being worshipped, okay? Having all the ladies say your name and smiling and giggling and, men reverencing you and, pretty much all on your nuts. That's what you guys seek. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away, see? And then you intertwine that with the truth and some fringes, all right? So you using what the Lord gave you to try to achieve your, filthy desires, man. And that's off. It's wicked, and it's unacceptable. You know, scriptures go into denying yourself. This is Luke 9:23, and he said to them all, Yahushua, saying this: if any man will come after me, let him deny himself. See, you have to be, you got to put yourself on the back burner, so to speak. Okay, and this truth, the ministry comes first. This word comes first. Okay. And of course, every man has ego, and, we all have things that we want in out of life, but you'll get those things through Yahweh Shema Shai if you just do what you're supposed to do. Okay. But a lot of, people can't fathom a new world. Okay. Wherein dwelleth righteousness. They can't understand that to be highly esteemed in a righteous society is going to be, a wonderful thing, because it's going to be eternal, right? And take up his cross daily and follow me. All right. So the hell becomes too much for these guys. It's not what they signed up for, but they like certain aspects and benefits that they may receive, like this knowledge, right? Scriptures say knowledge puffeth up. So, it puts you on the level. Okay, but and when you're exposed to this truth, you just can't go back to being normal, right? You got to be a special type of bug out to do that. All right, just try to forget everything you learned. These guys, they take what they learn and then they niggify it, okay? And they do whatever, to twist it into something that they feel is going to, profit them the most, right? Like all nations can make it, or the name of the Lord, don't really matter, or, the mark of the beast is white women, or John the Baptist, fell out the truth. Just all these silly ass things just to be distinct, when really just the truth in itself is enough, man. But they don't, not everybody can understand that. Okay. This is I think it was in Jeremiah. Yep. This is Matthew 23:12. 23:11. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And that was where Yahushua, he came and showed, right, when he washed the feet of his disciples. Okay. He's the Son of God, Son of the Most High Yahweh, the deliverer of Israel. But yet he came, and on the scene, he was washing his servants' feet. So how are we to be? You're supposed to be in the spirit of servitude. But these guys are in the spirit of serving themselves, right? In return, if you focused on serving yourself, you taking from the sheep. Okay. You starving the sheep trying to feed yourself. That's why these guys, they'll charge for breakdowns and withhold from you certain details about the scriptures and certain, the truth of the matter. You got to pay for a name, right? So they're not in the spirit of servants. They're in the spirit of being served. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So you got to come humble, okay? And we seen all these different examples as of recently of these guys that had exalted themselves, giving themselves these extravagant titles, chief, guerrilla, priest, deacon, all these extravagant names and titles. And then what, the Lord come and expose them. Okay. But because the Lord ain't really taking niggas out just yet, there is, it's still in the heart of niggas to rebel and to be wicked. But, pretty soon the Lord is he's gonna start doing niggas in, man. Okay. Because Jake don't think that is really going to happen. That's why they keep playing the games that they play. Was that play stupid games, win stupid prizes? Okay, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay, this is Philippians 3:18. For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you, even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Yahushua. See? So they're enemies to Yahushua. Why? Because they wanted the glory he got. They wanted the fame he had. They wanted to do, but they didn't want to come up under the tutelage of Yahushua, right? They wanted his position. That's why these guys, they'll tell you to, Yahushua was just a man, or, they'll say, don't listen to Paul. If Paul wrote it, it ain't credible. And, but what you saying is credible, though. John the Baptist fell out the truth, but you in the truth? Come on, man. Yahushua spoke highly of John the Baptist. Okay? So these guys have shown themselves to be enemies, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly. See? Their God is their belly, which is idolatry, man. It's just you idolizing yourself, which is crazy because, the scriptures say man at his best is vain. But you guys are fully been deceived, okay, by, Yahweh Shema Shah, right? And you've been indoctrinated in the ways of Esau, because that's Esau's thing. He think himself to be a god, right? That's very heathenistic. Pharaoh thought he was God, and look what happened to him. But these guys are not going to openly say it, but they allude to it by telling you that, the people who are on the scene with the Lord, who the Lord spoke highly of, they're not really, they're not really them guys that you think they are. They were off, But us with the black love hats and, the fringes and zeet-zeets and, all these different gimmicks, we're the guys, really. Okay. Well, the Lord's he's going to have his way with you, man. And whose glory is in their shame. See, who mind earthly things. And that's what these guys, they mind earthly things. That's all they care about. Okay. Being glorified and idolized by men. All right. But you're not supposed to care, man. What the Lord said, pretty much, roughly paraphrasing, cursed are you when men speak well of you, right? Because they speak well about these evil niggas, but that's what these guys want. They want, that same admonition, right? This is John 12 and 43. For they love the praise of men more than the praise of the Most High, right? And that's facts. That's what, that's what it is. All right. As long as they get a following, right? They have a following of zombies, mindless ass people, then they're cool. Okay. People to mislead, scriptures say the blind follow the blind, they both shall fall into a ditch. So, it's just one big trench or a bunch of big trenches out there for you blind, false prophets. Okay. And the Lord said, there are not to be a God before him. So, and you guys try to bring up the law all the time where the Lord said Moses testifies against you. Right. This is John 5 and 45. Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. And you guys always talk about the law this, the law that, right? But then the things that you go off on are all found in the law, right? That's why the scripture, Yahweh called you hypocrites, right? You don't even follow your own law. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. So, all the things in which Yahweh spoke is found in the law. The doctrine that we give is all law. It's the doctrine of Yahweh himself. Okay, we didn't create these things. The apostles and elders of Great Millstone, they didn't just, one day wake up and, give these breakdowns for fun or for the glorification of themselves. Nah. They did it because this is law. It's only one way to interpret it. Okay, and it's the interpretation that they give, man, we all learned, right? But you guys who go against it, you only reveal, that you don't believe in the law. You curse the law, right? So the Lord's going to curse you. And with honor of all praise and glory to Yahweh, Shem, Shah, Shem, Rakakwadash, Abba, Babal, and DTA.